Rumors have been flying since the deployment of the Abrams to the Ukrainian battlefield, namely, not good ones. There are rumors that the Abrams is finally out of date. But United 24 is here, and they're going to be talking to an actual crew of the Abrams, getting the frontline first person view of just what it's like to see and operate America's main battle tank. Let's get into it. The Eagle, man. The Eagle. Okay, I credit where credit's due, man. I think the crazy Eagle scream when you hear like 80s American military tech is just classic. Anyway, what's worth noting though, of course, you guys know that the Abrams was sent to the battlefield last year, but the Abrams is a tough tank for a bunch of reasons. First off, because it is a soup to nuts American design, logistically, it's very, very difficult and very, very intensive. And the tank sort of assumed America's incredibly robust logistics system would be able to keep it supplied and maintained. Because remember, a tank doesn't just need ammunition and fuel. Every single part of this bad boy can break. When you have that situation where, any joint, actuator, ball bearing, axle, when everything's breakable, everything's got to be able to be replaced, and it's got to be able to be replaced quickly and move through a complex logistics system. You need to find the right part at the right time. It's not easy.
In early 2023, the United States announced it would send 31 M1A1 Abrams tanks to Ukraine. The M1A1 SA variant, though not the newest, was the one that got here the fastest. Still, it was crazy to think that these tanks would be rolling alongside the Ukrainian army.
The reason he's describing it as crazy is, by the way, because the Ukrainian army, if you were a conscript or fighter in the Ukrainian army before about 1991, you would be trained to have fought against the Abrams. Remember, the Abrams was designed in the 70s. Let's see. The M1A1 Abrams was, designed initially. Come on, Google. It's giving me some nonsense here. There you go, guys. Thank you. Okay. Abrams was designed in 78. Manufactured in 78, right? Throughout 91. So you're talking about something that has been in service, again, since 1980. So it's something that the Ukrainian military really thought they were going to be fighting.
By September, the tanks had arrived in Ukraine, but the military command was waiting for the right moment to unleash them. February 2024 finally saw those tanks deployed.
Okay, let's see if we can just skip just a smidge ahead, because I don't need to see combat footage, because YouTube will demonetize me. Which, anyway, guys, you guys know that when you cover war content, YouTube hates you. I don't know how else to put it. And sponsors walk away from you quite a bit. But that's okay, because you know what? I sponsor myself. That's right, with the best product. It's easy, because I made something great, right? When I was in Afghanistan, I used to carry around cans of energy drinks, right? They were gross. They were called Rippets. That's what I needed to get my caffeine on a long combat patrol. So I decided to solve that problem with Strike Gum. Strike Gum is the zero sugar energy drink alternative. This bad boy has 90 milligrams of caffeine in every piece. There's 5 energy drinks worth of caffeine in this pack. You could throw this thing in your glove box, in your gym bag, in your home office, in your office at work, right? And you're going to always have an energy drink. You can pop, chew, and go, right? Best of all, zero sugar, 100 milligrams alpha GPC for further cognitive enhancement. And we now have a 5-pack, right? So you can buy an individual pack, sure. Yeah, try it out by all means, right? We know that we have so many reorders, dude. Like we don't make any money on these packs. The only reason we try to price them as low as we can, just so we're not literally losing money. Because we know once you try it, you're going to come back and order more. We see it in the data. But if you're like, hey, I don't need a whole tray of them yet, get the 5-pack, right? $25, the equivalent of 25 energy drinks. And I was at the gas station. These things are $25 a pop. So check it out at strikegum.com or at Amazon. You can just go to Amazon and search Strike Gum. Right? There it is. Too easy. So thanks to everybody that's ordered it and left us reviews.
We are back in the Avdiivka area where the battles are taking place much further than Avdiivka and the Ukraine is losing ground. This is the American veteran, the M1A1 Abrams tank of the 47th Mechanized Brigade with all the labels translated to Ukrainian. All of such tanks are currently deployed here in the east of Ukraine. And we've heard mixed reviews on their performance, their condition. There were even rumors that these tanks have been withdrawn from the battlefield. But thankfully, we have finally the opportunity to talk to the crews and find out what is really true and what's not. In movies, tankers brag about having the best job in the world. But I doubt they would agree with that after half a year of fighting near Avdiivka, where daily enemy attacks are your reality. For your understanding, 37 combat engagements were recorded on June 17 alone.
So, okay, let's pull up the maps real quick and take a look here at the Avdiivka area that he's talking about, because it's important to understand this has been an area where Putin has really explicitly said he wants to control it, right? When they asked Putin, what would be your conditions for peace? He said, he's like, I must have all of Luhansk Oblast and all of Donetsk Oblast. So he's absolutely straightforward that this is something he wants to control. So here is Avdiivka, and you can see here is the town of Ultralatina. Ultralatina was the site of a breakthrough because there had been a, according to most reports, a error in the relief schedule between Ukrainian units, where a previous unit withdrew, believing that the next unit was moving into position. But in fact, there wasn't. So there was just a big old hole in the Ukrainian lines, and the Russians kind of poured forces through. You could see these Russian motor rifle brigades really just poured into that breach. And as a result, you can see Novoalexandriivka, Arkhangelsk, Sokil, Yenihivka, all of these towns, Karamik, all kind of got subsumed in this push through Avdiivka, right? Avdiivka was a town that was fought over for months and months and months. Basically, when Ukraine ran out of material, ran out of supplies, they were pretty much forced to abandon it. And in this retreat, you can see that it's been messy, and Russia has been really trying to take advantage of the chaos on the Ukrainian side. But you also, I think Ukraine itself has been willing to say, hey, we are willing to accept Russian forces advancing because it gives us the chance to inflict large numbers of casualties. You can see here, as we work back in time, you can see the slow, steady progress that Russia's been making, sort of creeping forward, not necessarily into any kind of grand areas, but steadily making this progress. But you can see not universally, right? Not completely, but just steady progress, creeping kind of advances. And so that's what Ukraine's been fighting, a defensive fight in the Avdiivka area for some time.
And it shows. The tanks are covered with sand and mud, and the crew is exhausted. During this time, they have already lost their brothers in arms.
Most of our tasks were preventing the defense from being breached. We focused on stopping light vehicles from passing through and infantry from entering our positions, but most of the fighting was done at a distance. There were times when we shot at tree lines, literally 700 meters away, trying to dismantle them with our fire. There was one case where a Lancet drone came at us while we were standing still waiting for the order. The branches above us saved us. That's one I won't forget anytime soon.
This is really interesting for a couple reasons. First off, we've talked about the fact that he's describing exactly what we're talking about, where they're fighting at a distance because the Ukrainians, as they said, the Russians are trying to come forward and the Ukrainians are the ones who stay in covered positions and engage those targets. He described a micro version of the exact Ukrainian strategy, which is when the Ukrainians are in defensive positions, they can rely on things like cover, tree branches, being in a dug-in position, right? And the Russians are the ones who have to come out of their trenches and advance. So that's why he's saying, listen, we're firing from 700-800 meters away, putting rounds into these guys. And, the Lancet drone being hit by tree branches, it's not an accident. We've seen other drone footage from both sides where the infantry it clearly know that dense foliage will stop drones from advancing. You cannot have a drone make it into foliage that's sufficiently dense like this here. So again, to me, he's describing the exact strategy Ukraine was fighting. Now, the catch is when there's no counter-attacking, when you aren't ever pushing into the enemy, then you're going to be in a situation where only the enemy will get victories. Costly ones, as we've pointed out. Russia's taken an eye-watering amount of casualties, but they have advanced, right? But that makes sense because that Ukraine, because they recently reformed their conscription law, so in the next 90 to 120 days, they're going to get a larger influx of personnel. And U.S. aid, right? An initial package made it to the front line, but now we're seeing the real flow of billions of dollars of arms to the front line. Those units are being reinvigorated. And so commanders are saying, well, why am I going to have my units go on offense when they're at their absolute sickest? It's like saying, hey, I just got over a really long bout with COVID. Right. Let's use all the demonetizing words. I just had a really long, I was out with COVID 2 weeks. I was so sick. And tomorrow I'm going to run a marathon. You're like, no, dude, wait 3 months, feel 100% better, and then run a marathon. Which time do you think your marathon's going to feel easier and you're going to get a better time? Right after recovering from your debilitating bout of illness, or after 3 months of training, eating good, being healthy, reinvigorating yourself, right? It's a no-brainer. And that's what the Ukrainian commanders are saying too.
The tanks themselves held up well. Those first missions without extra protection were rough, and we took some losses. Things are a bit better now, though. We've managed to add some protection, and the tanks are performing as expected. We keep working. That's what we do.
This right here is Arad, the...
Interesting. I didn't know this. See, this is written in English. And explosive tile armor XM19 with a lot number. This side toward vehicle. Huh. This looks like experimental reactive armor from the XM19 implies that it was developed or fielded in 2019. I did not know this. Let me see. I want to learn more. Wow. No, this looks very new, guys. Okay, take a look at this. I did not know this existed. Okay, look. So I searched it. I searched the XM19 explosive reactive armor. The only thing that's here, right? Add-on Abrams tank kits. Yeah, here we go. Here's one from 2017, the ARAT system. XM19, Abrams reactive tile armor. Yeah, the ARAT. Wow, so that's what these guys. This looks like interesting. Fielded reactive tile armor. Let's see, give me more about the data sheet here. There we go. Okay, it's been fielded since 2006. I had no idea. As a rapid response to the threat posed by insurgents to heavyweight tanks in Iraq. Oh, I have seen those. Okay. That's what they are. Lightweight M19 modular system can be installed by hand. Easy installation and charge out depending on battlefield conditions. Highly reliable, never had a safety incident in training, field operations, or combat. And armor requires no maintenance, power, or sensors. This sounds like they just cloned the Soviet stuff, which is very, very good. It's very, very safe. In fact, because it is a specialty type of explosive that only detonates when a heat-penetrating round hits it, it means that even if the armor, even if there's a cook-off inside the tank, even if the tank itself gets blown up from inside, the reactive armor will not cook off. right? It is insensitive to bullet and fragment impact and fully self-extinguishing, right? The hot jet of a shaped shards hits the metal plates, initiating the explosive layer in the middle, causing the two metal plates to fly apart, protecting the vehicle, right? It's just two metal plates in a thin film of explosive meant to disrupt heat rounds. Interesting stuff. Really interesting stuff. Oh, keep talking.
the reactive armor for the Abrams tank, and as you can see, the soldiers install it on the turret of the tank by themselves, completely DIY.
Yeah, you can see. Look at these. These are hand welds. Really interesting.
Because the standard armor of the turret proved to be not enough for the modern battlefield. That's why the crews, they installed American reactive armor, and in some areas even the Ukrainian Contact One reactive armor on the tank.
That is fascinating. And again, this is something that the Pentagon should be absolutely taking notes on, because this kind of additional armor protection is absolutely non-negotiable for the modern battlefield, right? The way that small arms have just absolutely devastated tanks, they would be crazy not to field this kind of things. I think the Army just rolled out its M10, a Booker, they're calling it. And here's the thing that's sort of annoying, is that it doesn't look like it has any reactive armor, despite the fact that basically, from everything we've learned about this, it absolutely does need this, right? It absolutely needs reactive armor. It doesn't appear to have it. These may be reactive armor plates, but I don't see them anywhere else. But I could be wrong. I'm open to being proven wrong. I guess I could punch it into Google and just ask it, even though Google sucks now. Does the M10 Booker have reactive armor? Oh, okay. The Booker has a modular armor system, so you could stick it on there if you want, but you could stick it onto the Abrams if you want. It should be built into it, right? Again, the Booker designed to fight IEDs, something that isn't really a super pertinent threat now. Kind of annoying. The classic military mistake.
It is called reactive armor. If hit directly by ATGMs, UAVs, and Lancets, it can withstand anything. We designed, welded, and installed it ourselves.
But armor's not the only thing that needs refinement. Next to us, under the scorching sun, a team of repairmen works on an Abrams tank, swapping out its engine. This engine has a stunning 1500 horsepower. But at nearly 40 years old, it was not prepared for the challenges of the Donetsk region.
These tanks are old. There are problems with seals in various parts. When it sucks in all the dust, it damages engine parts and the tank loses thrust and power. The only reason this is happening is because of age. Does their age affect your work in any way? It's a little inconvenient because spare parts are sent from abroad, and if you need to change something right now, it can be problematic.
Like we talked about, right? The supply chain is not yet fully established. It takes a long time because also like different operating environments produce different kinds of problems, right? And the way a tank is used, where it's being used, and the climate it's used in, as well as the frequency of maintenance and the exact type of maintenance, all affect these kind of parts, right? This is being fought in a muddy, dirty environment, right? And it fought through the winter. Guess what? These tanks, American main battle tanks, they haven't seen snow since before I was born in combat, right? So a lot of times you sit there and you go, okay, well, we think we know what parts these tanks are going to need, but you don't. You don't until you actually see the way they're actually being used, how they're actually being put into practice. And that means you're gonna see a different mix of parts. Some parts will fail quicker, some parts will fail more slowly, and so you have to build this logistics system that then gives the tanks the parts they actually need. Does that make sense? So this is absolutely what you would expect to see from a tank being used in this totally different way.
We change what we can, and if we can't, we have to wait for the parts. And it takes time.
Time is a decisive factor, and in this case it costs human lives. First, the Ukrainian army had to wait for the Abrams to arrive. Then the crews waited for the right armor, finally assembling it themselves. With this in mind, I asked, is there anything you're waiting for right now to stop the Russian assaults?
We need long-range missiles and fighter jets, aviation. They have a lot of aircraft, and they're terrorizing us with guided aerial bombs. I saw it myself. I was lying in a dugout when a Russian aircraft started circling overhead. It dropped a bomb just 70 meters away. 3 times it made approaches, firing at our tree line with bombs.
This is interesting for a couple reasons. First off, the primary use that Ukraine has said that they want fixed-wing aircraft for is actually for air defense, right? Like they want these aircraft that can get into the skies and be like defend Ukrainian held airspace. Not so much to go on the offense because again, over Russian airspace, there's too many air defenses for them to operate, right? You'd have to have stealth aircraft and the US just isn't willing to provide Ukraine, a non-NATO ally, its own stealth aircraft. One, it's not clear Ukraine can maintain stealth aircraft because if you thought the Abrams was hard, dudes, the stealth aircraft is so much harder. It's so a 6th generation fighter. You have to be like an advanced industrial economy or a 5th gen fighter to maintain that kind of fifth gen aircraft. And then you have, of course, like long range missiles. That it's less about getting the missiles. I think they have very long range stuff. It's authorization to use them.
Thankfully, we're still here. We lack aviation right now, and their air force is hurting us a lot. They're dropping guided bombs on our guys in the trenches, basically just smashing them. It's very difficult.
Anyway, guys, that's all I had. Thank you so much. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and check out United 24. They have a whole bunch of stuff. I only do a small portion of what all is out there. A huge thank you to the members of Combat Vet News. Could not do this without you guys. Appreciate you so much, and I will see all you guys in the next one. Cheers.